Mindset is the thing that allows you to get up every day and do the same thing over and over again with no desire, no intention, no effort to actually change and accomplish the things that you say you want to accomplish in life. But it is also the thing that, if developed intentionally, can allow you to change your entire life. Welcome back to another episode of the Woman Intentionally podcast. My name is Whitney Kilgore, and in today's episode, I want to talk about mindset. I want to talk about the things that keep you from tapping into all that God has for you, keep you from seeing yourself as capable of accomplishing the goals that you've set for yourself, and that even keeps you from viewing yourself as someone that God wants to use. I want to talk about the things that we can do to make sure that we are giving everything that we have in order to fulfill the purpose that God put us on this earth for. So with that being said, let's talk about mindset. I want you to consider where you are in life right now. Where you are in life right now is a result of the mindset that you've had for all of your past. Where you are in life right now is a result of your habits, your beliefs about yourself, your beliefs about what you're capable of doing, your beliefs about your past, your beliefs about your future, your vision for your future, whether you have it or whether you don't. What we're able to do in the future really starts where you are right now. I just want to encourage you guys at all walks of life. Mindset is one of those things that you can continue to allow God to transform and renew so that God can start to show you the possibilities that you have when you allow Him to renew your mind. So starting this thing off, mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you view yourself and the world and what you're capable of. The things that you really believe at your heart of hearts, right? So Psalms 19 and 14 has been in my spirit all week, and it is, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. I think that a lot of times our mindset is really kind of shaped and based on what we feel in our heart. What we're thinking in our heart, what we think about ourselves in our heart, whether we are feeling good about ourselves or still beating ourselves up about the things that we've done in our past, or what we think we're capable of accomplishing, the things that we don't share with anyone else. I think that sometimes our mindset is really a reflection of what is really going on in our heart. So before we even start talking about mindset and all of those things, I want you to take a second to examine your heart concerning yourself. Where are you in your heart about yourself? Are you really critical of yourself? Are you always beating yourself up? Do you doubt yourself? Do you put yourself down? Do you really think the same way about yourself in your heart? I want you to examine that, because that's an area that we need to consider before we go try to set all these goals and change everything on the external. We need to figure out what's really going on inside of us. And so that scripture, Psalms 19 and 14, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart, things that I'm always thinking about, be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength, my redeemer. It is very important that we see ourselves the way God sees us. And if we're speaking things, but in our heart, we don't agree with what God says about us, it affects what we think we can accomplish, whether that's spiritually or naturally. So, asking God, Lord, help me to, feel better about myself. Help me to love myself a little bit better. Help me to forgive myself. You know that when nobody else is around, I'm down on myself because of things I've done in my past. You have forgiven me, so help me to forgive myself, because those things are in my heart and I can't really let them go. So before we go deep, I just want you to consider where you are, and I just want you to ask God to make sure that the words in your mouth, the words that you speak about yourself, and then the meditation of your heart, the things that you say about yourself and all of those things, I want you to make sure that they're acceptable in God's sight, because He don't want you talking trash about yourself. He don't want you beating yourself up or any of that. So take a moment to just ask Him to cleanse your heart concerning yourself. So I know for a fact we do not take a lot of time to think about our thoughts, think about our mindset, and all of those things. So today, I want you to consider how you talk to yourself. What are your thoughts? What are you constantly thinking about? Where are your thoughts a majority of the time? Where is your mind just kind of lingering? How do you think about your future self? What do you think about your past self? What is your mindset towards what you can accomplish? Do you even have any idea of things that you want to accomplish in this life? Have you asked God about what he wants you to do in the earth, why he put you here? Have you asked any of those questions? And if you have not, this is a good time to kind of say, man, Lord, what is it that you want me to do? One place I like to start, or like encourage people to start, when you get to thinking like that, what are the things that you do naturally? What are the things that you do good naturally, that you're interested in, that you really like? You know what I mean? Now, okay, if it's crazy and God ain't pleased with it, we're not talking about that, okay? We asking him to get rid of those things. But if it is something that you're naturally good at, you enjoy doing, ask God if there's a way that he wants to use those things to fulfill his purpose for you in the earth, right? So, take some time to think about your thoughts on a daily basis. What are you thinking about the most? One of the things we have to remember is that you didn't just wake up this morning the way you are. You didn't just hop out of the bed and have a negative attitude, or hop out of the bed and have a positive attitude. You didn't just wake up out of the bed and think that you can conquer the world. You didn't just wake up and think that you weren't capable of doing anything. There were situations and circumstances that led up to you having the mindset that you have right now. The good thing is that you can change your mindset, right? When we're intentional about it. When we have no intentions about what we want to do, who we want to become, or the things that we want to accomplish, we literally just go through life. We get up, work, pay bills, go to sleep, get up, work, pay bills, and go to sleep without any intention about, man, where do I see myself in a year? Where do I want to see myself in 5 years? Where do I want to see my family in 10 years? You know, what kind of legacy do I want to leave for my grandchildren? You know, what things do I want them to remember about me? When we're not intentional about thinking like that, then we end up just kind of, oh, well, today I guess I'm going to be great at work, or today I'm going to be not so great. In a year from now, I guess I wouldn't mind having a new job. And then to get to that point and realize that you needed a degree that you could have been working on this past year, it kind of sets us up for failure, and it makes us feel like we're not on the right path. I want us to consider that when we are thinking about this new mindset that we want to develop. Where do you want to be in 1 year from now, in 3 years from now? And of course, we leave space for God to do his thing, but also creating some kind of vision so we at least have some kind of direction that we're going in, and not just like, well, whatever happens, happens. No, it's time out for that. Like, I don't care how old you are. There is still purpose for you. I don't care how young you are. There is purpose for you. I want you to be intentional about the fact that you still have a lot to give. That even as a young person, even as a young girl, you have so much to give. There are so many young girls that are looking for someone to look up to, or to mentor them, or to inspire them to do something different. There are so many women my age that are looking for women who are 55 and 65 and 45 to encourage them and to pour into them. Like, we need y'all. Everybody is needed in their space of life, right? And so I want us to get out of this mindset of like, okay, well, I'm too young, or I'm too old, or I'm just going to worry about myself. I want us to start thinking about, what is it that we really want to accomplish, or what is it that we would like to see happen in our life? That our mindset has been holding us back from. There are two ways that our mindset forms: intentionally and unintentionally. Intentionally, hey, I want to be a more consistent person. I want to be someone who tells the truth, who doesn't gossip. That's intentionally trying to shift and change your mindset. Unintentionally, well, if they talk about me, I'm going to talk about them back. Well, if I don't feel like being motivated today, I'm not going to be motivated. Unintentionally, it just happens on its own. And so we want to shift from being unintentional to being intentional about our mindset and who we are and how we think and how we approach life. So I want to talk about 3 things that influence our mindset. The first one is people. Proverbs 12:26, it says, "The righteous choose their friends wisely, but the way of the wicked leads them astray." People in your circle have the ability to influence you in a positive way or influence you in a very wicked or negative way. If you don't do anything else from this point forward, choose better friends. I'm not putting down your current friends. I'm not trying to say you don't need to you need to just kick everyone to the curb. I'm not saying that, but we do have to be intentional about who is in our lives. Who do we spend the most of our time talking to? Who are we learning from? Who are we pouring into? Who's pouring into us? What kind of attitudes are around us? What kind of belief systems are around us? We do have to be intentional about the people that are around us. The Bible also says that bad company corrupts good morals. It's kind of crazy to think that you're going to be around someone and they're not going to rub off on you, or you're not going to rub off on them. I'm down with being around some people who I can maybe rub off on in a positive way, but when it comes to people rubbing off on me in a negative way, I have to cut it short. I'll give a little space and leave, a little space for growth and stuff like that. But I'm not going to be attached to somebody who is always negative, who is has no desire to grow, who is not trying to grow spiritually, who is just set in their ways and that are not on the same path that I'm on. And that's not to be mean. It's just to say that, like, I know that eventually I'm going to influence you or you're going to influence me. And if I feel like that negative influence is kind of strong, I start noticing that being around you, I'm gossiping more. Being around you, I'm cussing more. Being around you, I'm not focused on, I'm procrastinating more. Then I'm going to make sure that I kind of distance myself a little bit. I still love you, but I'm going to distance myself a little bit because I see that this bad company is corrupting my good morals. And the same thing for me. People have to make that decision. Well, maybe being around Whitney, this is happening to me and I don't like it. So let me distance myself. Girl, do you, right? Those are the decisions that we have to make for ourselves. Some people will put up with toxic friendships just for the sake of not being lonely. You are so afraid of being by yourself or not having a lot of friends that you consistently put up with toxic people or surround yourself with negative people just so that you won't be alone. It's time out for that. Sometimes a season of loneliness will allow you to grow closer to God. Like that time where you're not on the phone with somebody that's gossiping all the time. It gives you time to focus on God, to get comfortable doing things by yourself, maybe going to the movies by yourself, going out to eat by yourself, being comfortable with yourself. Like, I'm telling you, like when I really first got serious with my relationship with God and I started separating myself from some people, it was very lonely. I was so used to always being around people that it felt weird just being by myself. And when you don't like being by yourself, you'll put up with anything just so you can have company. And that is not healthy. So I just want to encourage you, if you have been tolerating toxic people in your life for the sake of loneliness, tap into God. This is your sign that you need to tap into God. You need to get in your word more. You need to be putting on some praise and worship more. You need to be listening to some motivational speakers. You need to be listening to some sermons. Like, get comfortable without having to always have someone near. We're going to talk about some root causes of that, rejection and abandonment issues that kind of lead us to doing those kind of things when I have my special guest on here in a couple of episodes. So we're going to talk about some inner healing things that keep us from being able to form healthy relationships. But just for the sake of now, consider the toxic friendships that you've been allowing for the sake of not being lonely. Another thing when it comes to people is don't be afraid to tell people about the new you. Don't be afraid to tell people that you're trying to become a new person, that you're trying to do new things. Some of the things that you don't want to do anymore, let them know. And if they are really your friends, they're going to support you. They're going to understand that. There were some things my friends just couldn't talk to me about when I first started trying to get saved. Like, you can't talk to me about your friend cheating on her husband. You can't talk to me about you cheating on your husband. Like, that's just not who I am anymore. Like, I don't want to talk about that. And so then I became the friend that they didn't talk about those things with. And eventually, because we were, becoming so different, the friendship kind of, separated. And then eventually it came back around. It's like, man, I see what you were trying to do when we kind of fell off, but I respect it now because I understand it, right? And so tell people what you're trying to do and stand firm on that. And even if you slip up, don't be ashamed. Like, just be real about the person that you're trying to come, so they don't feel confused when you start to act different or do different things. You should try to find like-minded people. A lot of times if you are, just getting into your walk with God. I remember going to the church with the saints, and I was at a picnic just cussing down. I was cussing so much on the phone, and then I realized, like, oh man, I'm at a church picnic. I probably shouldn't be saying all of this. And they were just looking at me like, oh my gosh. But I had to put myself in environments like that so I could recognize how people function, who are trying to live serious for God. They don't be cussing all the time, right? I had to put myself in those environments, and it put some restraints on me that eventually became normal, right? And so put yourself in those situations. Go to the functions with the church folks, right? Go hang out with them. Find you a women's group that you can, have Bible study with and those kind of things. It's going to be uncomfortable in the beginning being around people who, think differently. But the more you surround yourself with those people, the more natural it will become for you. As you're striving to find friends, godly friends, work on becoming a godly person, right? And that's not an effort on you. That's you allowing God to change you through you reading his word and getting to know him. But work on becoming a godly person. Work on your attitude. Like, if it's a stank attitude, like, work on it. Work on some of your morals and your values and your character. Like, figure it out. Figure out what it is that you really stand for, what is really becoming of a Christian woman and what is not really becoming of a Christian woman, and make a commitment to trying to become more like that. And it ain't gonna happen overnight, but sis, if you keep trying, it is going to become more and more natural. I'm telling you, it will. The next thing that influences our mindset is our environment. Sometimes we don't have the ability to change our environment, but we can change how we operate in those environments. You may not be able to change your house right now, right? To where you feel comfortable and excited and motivated in your home, but you can change how clean you keep it. Times that my house is a mess, I am not motivated and I'm not creative or anything. But when my house is nice and clean, I feel super motivated to do things. And I also feel inspired just by simply cleaning up my environment and making my environment feel more inviting and more welcoming. So I would say you may not be able to change your environment, but you can change how you operate in it. You may have a negative workplace, but you can change how you operate in that workplace. You can be proactive instead of being reactive. Proactive is, I'm going to go in here, and I don't care what people going through. I'm having myself a good day. I don't care who's got a nasty attitude. I'm not giving it back. I don't care what they're going through today. I am going to have a good day. Reactive is like, I'm going in here, and if anybody can get it, if one person say one wrong thing to me, I'm popping off. Reactive is like you wake up and you look outside and it's rainy. So, I'm going to have a bad day. I'm reacting to the bad day instead of opening your eyes and say, Lord, regardless of what happens today, I'm going to have a positive day. Like, it's choosing to be proactive. And trust me, it is not always easy. I'm in a season of not wanting to be in the Army. I'm ready to retire. But at the same time, I have to choose to go ahead and get my job done, do what I have to do, and make the most of it, because this is my current situation. I can't just get out the Army right now. So I've got to make the most of what I got. And you have to do the same thing with your environment and what you have going on around you and how that influences your mindset. Think about the environments that you are consistently in and consider what you could do to make yourself feel better in those environments. Could you put on some music to make you, to kind of change the mood of the environment? Like, what can you do in your environments to make you feel better and feel a little more motivated? The last thing I want to talk about concerning our mindset is entertainment. What are you allowing to entertain you? What are you listening to? What are you reading? Are you even reading? And who are the people that influence you the most? Who are the people that inspire you? What are they doing to inspire you? What kind of music inspires? What are the messages that are being played in your music that you are consuming and listening to that is influencing you and influencing your mood and your mindset. If you look around today, so many young girls are listening to people like Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B and SZA and Billie Eilish, all of these famous people who have platforms, but they have very negative, depressing, and whorish messages. If you look at the girls who consume that music, they are being influenced by the entertainment that they're looking. It's not just music. There's a quote that says, life imitates art. So whatever all the art that's going on, life is basically imitating it. People are watching these girls, and women are watching these women on TV, and then you're starting to see that their behavior and their mannerisms are becoming more like what they're seeing on TV. A lot of women, myself included, you listen to certain music and it will change the way you really think about stuff. I remember singing songs. I remember this one song, Heather Hartley, I think her name was, and it was called In My Mind, I'll Always Be His Lady. In My Mind, I'll Always Be His Girl. It was kind of psychotic when you think about it. Like, this man that moved on and got a whole nother woman, and I'm still over here in my mind singing, in my mind, I'll always be his lady. No, you won't. Like, he literally has a new woman. But listening to that entertainment really connected with my soul and with what I was going through and with my emotions. And it was hard to like acknowledge that I was not going to be his lady. And the same thing, if you're listening to music that has a message of, not really caring how you carry yourself, calling yourselves bitchs and all these other things, you're going to start, being okay with that kind of mentality subconsciously. And then you'll be confused why you start calling yourself those kind of words, or wondering why your daughter is feeling depressed, or why your daughter has low self-esteem, and all of these things. If I read you some of the words to SZA's new album, you would be blown away. And that's somebody that your daughters probably really know who she is, but a lot of grown women listen to her as well. And I just think it's a very toxic mentality that easily comes upon us when we are not conscious of what we're listening to and what we're watching. Proverbs 4:23-27 says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Avoid all perverse talk, stay away from corrupt speech, look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet, stay on the safe path. Don't get sidetracked, keep your feet from following evil. If we take that scripture and we just think about what it's saying, it is telling us to basically stay away from stuff that is talking evil talk, that is talking corruptly, that is trying to get you sidetracked. It's telling us to be mindful of all those things that we're listening to and taking in, because they affect our soul. They affect our mind, our will, which is our ability to do right and wrong, and then our emotions, how we feel, and all of those things. So I just want to encourage you, consider your entertainment. What are you listening to, sis? What are you watching? Who have you become from listening to those things and watching those things? I remember being like 6th grade and listening to R. Kelly's song, girl, please let me stick my key in your ignition, baby. I didn't know what he was talking about, but I just really wanted to experience that because I was listening to it and it was influencing my mind, and the beat was so good, and I wasn't having sex, but in my mind, I wanted to, because of what I was listening to. Do not be deceived into thinking that music can not still influence you as an adult woman today. Be mindful that music has an agenda. What if the agenda is for you to take hold of all this stuff that you are hearing and to begin to do it? How is that stuff going to affect your mindset? I know it's a lot to think about, but if you want to change your mind, if you want to start thinking along the lines of who you want to become, you have to evaluate your current mindset, where it's gotten you in the past, and where you want it to get you in the future, so that we can start to make some intentional changes. With that being said, ladies, do all the things that you need to do to become your best self. But in doing that, do not forget to woman intentionally. Let's go.